Wait. What the fuck did I just read? But I'm confused.
How do you get to Wonderland?
Okay, so I just finished rereading Once Upon a Broken Heart. From what I remember liking about it the first time was that it was just vibes. The words that she chooses makes everything feel so magical. I feel like the YA and especially the adult fantasies that I read have a certain, like, how do I say this? Like a certain maturity to them. Like it might be magic, but it's like this certain aesthetic that it upholds. And Stephanie Garber is like unapologetically okay to like talk about how things look like bubblegum, and like she just uses these almost childish terms to make it feel just so unique to her. And I just really love the colors that she chooses, the tiny world building details that she adds in, I think, again, just make her worlds so unique. And so I still enjoyed that on the second read. And another thing that I kind of appreciated was that the main character, Evangeline, she's not like the typical fantasy female protagonist that like randomly becomes incredibly skilled at like military strategy. She's being pulled around by the main character, Jax, and she, I think, acts accordingly. She's like this innocent, naive girl who believes in fairy tales, and she's being like wrapped up in this scheme that she has no idea what it's even about, and she's just making these kind of rash decisions that some of them are really stupid and some of them end up turning out okay. So, oh God, I didn't even tell you what this book is about. Guys, I'm so sorry. Once Upon a Broken Heart is about a immortal being called the Prince of Hearts. Prince of Broken Hearts? Prince of Hearts. His whole thing is that anyone he kisses, he kills. You learn a lot more about it in Caraval, which is why I highly recommend reading the Caraval trilogy before this. We have a girl who has her heart broken and she turns to this immortal being, basically is like, I'll do anything to get the love of my life back. She, of course, then is wrapped up in this horrible scheme and she doesn't know what the goal is, and as the reader we also don't know what the goal is. So upon my second read I found it a little frustrating just because it was like, again, I forgot the entire plot, so it was almost like reading it for the first time again, but I was just a little frustrated because we just didn't understand why these things were happening. So it made me kind of empathize with our main character more, because I couldn't even be like, no, that's a stupid decision, girl, because I didn't know if it was a stupid decision or not. Like, we also just don't know what the end game. My ice cream is melting. Oh my God, I forgot I got ice cream. The ending of Once Upon a Broken Heart is a total cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to dive into this. I haven't even looked at the first word. Oh, just a quick skim. The book starts with a prologue and it is a letter from Evangeline to Evangeline. Are we gonna time travel? I have no idea. But mainly, what I'm trying to say is that this book was definitely, Once Upon a Broken Heart is definitely like much more heavy on vibes. Caraval felt like, okay, there is like a clear storyline going on, we have a clear goal, and there's vibes. This is a little bit more heavy on the vibes and I don't know where it's going, but the ending of the book made me feel like, oh, we know now. So in I go. Okay, I'm gonna eat my poor melted ice cream. Eventually you will see him again, and when you do not be fooled. Okay, bye. Okay, hey, so I'm checking in really quickly because I'm a third of the way through of The Ballad of Never After. Gonna be real, it's messy, all right? There are vampires now. Or were there vampires in Once Upon a Broken Heart? I don't remember, but anyway, it's just very messy because now, like, remember when I said that we didn't know what was going on because this one character was pulling all the strings? Now we really don't know what's going on because somebody else is pulling the strings and the character who was pulling the strings doesn't know who's doing it. So it's just, woo, we're all messed up. One thing that I do just want to point out without spoiling anything, And this is something that I think I mentioned in one of my reviews of Caraval, is that I really appreciate how Stephanie Garber's characters, they might be naive and like little girls that just want to be loved. Like, I really think that that's who she writes for, are like young girls who really believe that love is the most important thing. Like, a romantic love is the most important thing. She makes these girls have self-respect. I remember in Caraval being really struck by how the main character like wouldn't accept, even though she loved a person, she wouldn't accept that love because he wasn't loving her back the way that he should. And I think that that's such an important message for those young girls. They just want to be loved so badly that they might settle for not the best kind of love, or like just obsession or lust or, you know, control. They don't accept it, and I really appreciate that, even though it makes the book very frustrating. But anyway, I realized the air conditioner's on. Made myself a snack. I've got my almonds and my dried cranberries, and I'm gonna try and read as much as I can tonight. So I'll see you when I next update. Bye! I swear to God, if this is not a duology, I'm gonna scream. I'm not sure if it's gonna wrap up. And look at how much left I have. Oh no. I don't think this is ending. I don't think this is ending. Is there gonna be one more book? Wait, what? Wait. I know there are pages after this. Let me take a break. Okay, I think there's more to the story. There's like a couple more pages left. Oh no. The end. Oh no. No. I'm figuring out what I think is gonna happen, and I don't want to read it. I want to stop. There's just no time. There's no time left in the book to fix everything that's happening. My heart is in my throat. What is happening? What the fuck did I just read? What the fuck did I just read? Let me read that again. What? No. Stephanie Garber. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, guys. I want to die. I feel like I'm gonna hyperventilate. Like, what the hell just happened in this book? So I was gonna say that this book got a little, like, nothing was really happening, and it was just a lot of like yearning and like Evangeline being kind of pulled around by forces that she doesn't understand. She doesn't have a lot of agency. And then the ending, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. There must be another book. I refuse. I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna have to talk to you tomorrow. Like, I'm literally speechless. This has only happened to me in like maybe 2 books in my entire life that I have felt this rocked. How am I supposed to continue living? What? Okay, I literally just need to lay in bed for a second. So I'll see you maybe tomorrow when I can talk. Okay, so on Storygraph, it says that this book is 384 pages, but my book ends on page 311. She also talks a lot about, in this book, she talks a lot about how books always end differently, stories always end differently. So what if everybody's book ends differently? Am I gonna have to buy all different, like, what? I'm praying that I'm missing 70 pages. What? Okay, I've got to go to bed. Hi everyone. So it's almost 24 hours later, and I'm ready to talk about this. If you have gotten the advanced copy, please tell me what the last word, or maybe the last 2 words of your copy is, because I swear to God, this cannot be the ending unless she is pulling something. She kind of hinted at it. Like, I respect her, I guess, for pulling this on us, because she did warn us from the beginning when she talks about how stories end, especially because there's like a curse on stories told from the North, which is where they are. I applaud her for sticking to the world, but I am so empty and so upset. I would kill for more content. Somebody said that there's a Jax POV chapter, but that's not enough. That would be worse. I don't want to read that. I've heard that other people, their copies, or like on Goodreads, it says that the book is like 400 pages. I don't know if like the formatting is just different, but I feel like I am missing some of the book, and if so, and I have to sit with this horror for a month by myself, I don't know what to do. So please, I'm begging you, if you've read this book, tell me how your book ended. Message me on Instagram or put it in the comments after like a bunch of spoilers. ... I can't be alone in this, and Kurt doesn't want to hear about it. He thinks that he's worried about me on Bookstagram, on BookTube, because I'm apparently having, quote, too much fun, even though I was telling him that my heart was broken. So I don't know. I'm losing my mind. My husband is concerned, so please help a girl out. I'll give her that. It sent me. But yeah, I would say like the actual plot, like I said, it was very just like, I didn't know what was going on, and it seemed like we weren't really doing anything. So if you're into like action-based things, again, I feel like this was much more just vibesy, and it got a little just repetitive because I wasn't sure where the plot was going. But then once we got to the ending and things started to, like, it's one of those books that you have to read twice because there are so many details going all the way back to Once Upon a Broken Heart. I give her so many props for creating such a twisted little plot, but I have words for her about this ending and what it did to me, and I will never recover. So luckily this morning I actually reread the ending again just to torture myself. But then the weather was really nice, so I ended up going out to meet a friend, and that's when I started Babel. I've only read the first chapter, so moving on from Heartbreak, heading on over to Babel. So I will see you guys there, okay? But please, God, put me out of my misery. Oh my God. Okay, bye. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Babel section of this video. So full disclaimer, I have not read The Poppy War. I checked it out and I read like the first couple of pages, but it was just one of those things where I felt like I didn't have the attention span at that moment in time to read it, so I just keep putting it off. But Babel being a I've just been assuming it's a standalone. I think it's a standalone. So hearing that it was a standalone, hearing that it was set in Oxford, set in the 1800s, I was just like, and I was very lucky to get it at my library. I'm actually already on page 100. Let me tell you a little bit what the book is about if you're new. I believe the author studied at Oxford, and so this book is inspired by and based off of a lot of her experiences being Chinese American at Oxford, in academia as a whole, but very specifically the Oxford Society. But this is also slightly a fantasy. What can I tell you about it? It follows our main character, who is called Robin. He is from Canton in China, and he is taken from his home. He has been orphaned, and pretty immediately he is like swept up by this mysterious British dude and his British governess. and brought to England, where he is thrown into studying languages. He already obviously speaks Cantonese and Mandarin with just like a kind of native fluency, and he learned English from this governess as he was growing up. Then he now has to learn the classics like Latin and Greek, and we don't really understand why. All we know is that what his guardian wants him to go to Oxford. This guardian man is a professor or a something at Oxford, and that's all we know, is like the fact that he can understand Chinese at a native level is very important, and he's gonna go to Oxford and he needs to know a bunch of languages. The magic comes in with the use of silver, and I don't fully understand the magic system yet, but it seems like you can manipulate silver to do a bunch of different things, just depending on like what kind of magic you put into it. So you can put silver in your horse-drawn carriages to make them smoother, or you can make boats lined with silver so that they go faster. In this case, in the very first chapter, we see that his guardian actually used silver to help cure Robin of kind of the plague. I think it was cholera. I'm on page 100 out of about 500. What can I say about it? I think if you love languages, if you love linguistics, it's so interesting and it just makes me want to study. I feel like if you have no interest in that, I don't think you would like this book. I definitely need to use more brain power and like pay more attention while I'm reading than I would typical adult or young adult fantasies that I tend to read. Another thing that just makes it a lot heavier is talking about being a non-white English person in Oxford, especially in the 1800s, but as the author can attest, it is also like within this decade. And I wanted to read you one line. So this is at the end of chapter 1. He pulled on his English accent like a new coat, adjusted everything he could about himself to make it fit, and within weeks wore it with comfort. So there's that whole aspect of him trying to find a place in the world, and then I don't think that this goes too far into spoilery, but essentially what he's doing is working in translation, and he's using his natural gift of being born in China and speaking Mandarin and Cantonese with native fluency. He's basically like giving that knowledge to Oxford and thus like the crown. They talk about how really the academics serve the empire, you know? There's a part of him that is so in love with what he's doing, but on the other hand, he is helping an empire that he's not really a part of, and nothing that England is doing is helping China, and I would say it's doing the opposite. And so he feels this horrible pull. You're just kind of stealing our knowledge. You're using us. You're like milking it out of us, basically, and using it to your advantage. I was actually talking to Kurt about this last night. With colonization, you often see that the colonizers will take the highly educated class. They will use their skills, but also make them friendly to the colonizers because, hey man, we brought you to Oxford. We taught you all this stuff. Without us, you'd be nothing. And so in the back of Robin's mind, there's also that of like, I love Oxford. I love my professors. I love all these people who have given me this opportunity to be in this classroom. But on the other hand, they don't have my best interests in heart, you know? So I just think it's in and of itself, like even if you took away the fantasy aspect, if this was just purely a historical fiction, I think it would be so interesting. But right now, basically a fifth of the way through, we're just kind of learning about the magic. There have been hints about what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, I just think it's got so many things that I'm really interested in wrapped up in this. And yeah, so I'm gonna continue. This was a very long intro to it, but yeah, I'm going to continue. It's a nice little rainy day, and I will catch you when I have another update for you. Okay, so Babel, here we go. Hi everyone. So I finished Babel, so I ended up semi-unexpectedly having to go back to America for a funeral. So I wasn't able to talk kind of when I was reading it. I was sort of
reading it on the plane and whenever I needed a distraction. So this is me talking about it maybe like 5 days after. So this review isn't quite as fresh, but I'm confused, not because of the book. I'm confused because of the formatting of the book that I got. I was reading it through the library, as I said, and I got my book from Overdrive. This is such a long random story, but basically Overdrive and Libby are online digital libraries, but they're the same company and they're combining so that now we're only going to have Libby. On Libby, you have to read it through the Libby app. So it's just like an ebook directly on their site. But for Overdrive, you could choose where to read it. And I would always read it on my Kindle app. So it would have the regular, every book would have the same kind of formatting that I'm used to on Kindle. I could highlight it, blah, blah, blah. I loved it. But now that they are working on moving people over to Libby, Overdrive is only letting you use their EPUB, whatever books. And the formatting is so weird. And so as I was reading it, it told me, and I've seen photos of the book, and it told me that the book was 500 pages. And so I think one of the things that kind of made me feel like this book was a little bit of a schlup is that I was at, page 250 thinking, oh my God, this is only the middle of the book. How much more are we going to have to read of this story? When actually I got to page 380 and it ended. I think that's part of why I felt like the book was so a little bit too long, is just because in my brain I was reading it thinking, oh my God, I'm only a quarter of the way through. Oh my God, I'm only halfway through. I feel like I've been reading, like so much has happened. How much more is going to go on? So I think in part my issue with the book is just simply that the formatting was wrong. And so as I was reading it, was having a rough time. Overall, I thought the book was really good. Again, I would only recommend reading it if you're interested in linguistics and history. I think that kind of when I stopped the first time talking to you, I think I was on page like 100 and something. I think it's book 2, like from page 100 something to like 200 something, I felt like it got a little long and slow. Like it was just, there were one too many breakdowns of words, And I also was just it felt like a lot of time would pass. Like I was very excited for him. No spoilers, but there is this sort of secret society that is trying to stop the work of the Babel people of Oxford, right? And instead of like seeing that action happening, like there would be break-ins and whatever. Instead of seeing that happening, we would just hear like, oh, over the past 3 months, this happened. It was just more of like reflecting on the things that happened instead of actually showing us what happened. I don't know. It wasn't as kind of action filled in the first, I would say 2/3 than I thought. So it was sort of like I was very interested in the linguistics and just the world building part of it. And then we got into this part where it was just still more explanation without a lot of action, but I felt like it was a little too much explanation. And then we got into a lot more action and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I thought that it was incredibly well done. The kind of alternate history was so interesting, especially because I feel like, especially American schools, I don't know about outside of the US, but we brush over like the opium wars and everything, anything in Asia in the 1800s, basically, we don't ever hear about. So it was really great, even if it was kind of this like alternate history, really great to read about that for a little bit. I just think the discussions in the book were really important. I thought that the character, oh God, is her name Libby, the white girl? I thought that she was a really interesting character and a good character for white women to read. Yeah, just overall, it was a very sad book. Oh, I thought that like when, again, no spoilers, but like when tragic things happened in the book, I thought that it was very quick and like not really dwelled upon. I felt like certain things happened and I was sort of like, did that did that happen? Did that happen? Because the ending, the action is just like boom, 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 boom. Overall, though, I did like it. I just kind of had to push myself through that middle bit of like explaining how the silver works. I just thought there was a little too much explanation, especially into like, yeah, the magic. It was kind of like, I got it. But yeah, definitely if you are looking for like an autumn dark academia read, it delivers. And yeah, I would recommend, again, if you have those kind of two interests of linguistics and history. Next up, I'm going to read, what am I going to pick up first? I think maybe I'll read A Venom Dark and Sweet. It's either that or The Final Gambit. I think I'm going to read A Venom Dark and Sweet next. But today I have to go to immigration and renew my visa. So I'm actually, hold on, just look at this cover. This is actually what I'm reading next. So I'm taking a break from this video. I'm going to be reading Tower by Bae Myung-hoon for my Korean authors video. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to see you guys for the next book. I'm very excited. So yeah, that was Babel by R.F. Kuang. And yeah, I promise one day I'm going to read The Poppy War. I promise. So yeah, I will see you guys for the next book. Thank you for joining me. Let's go. Hi everyone, we are heading out today to a cafe. It is beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm gonna start reading A Venom Dark and Sweet. And cross your fingers because I'm not going to be rereading A Magic Steeped in Poison. So good luck to me to remember the plot. See you. Hi, just popping in because I realized I didn't actually update you guys on what the plot is about in case you didn't know, since this is the second book in the duology. A Magic Steeped in Poison. What's it about? It takes place in this kingdom where there are certain gods, and so there's kind of magic that some of the gods can bestow on people, and one of the main forms of magic comes through kind of like a tea ceremony. And so there are these people around the kingdom who are basically these tea masters. Our main girl, her mother was one of these tea masters. Her sister was training to be one, but her mother was killed by a poison, and now her sister seems to be dying slowly from the same one. And she lives in this tiny little town way out in the countryside, so she thinks that if she can get the attention of the emperor, he will be able to help her with medical help, like save her sister basically. And they are having a competition for finding the next like royal tea master that will be directly serving the emperor. And she's like, okay, if I go and I win this thing, I will have an audience with the emperor and I will be able to ask this question, right? So she goes. Technically she's not supposed to be there because she's not technically trained as a tea master. Her sister was, and she just kind of took her identity, you know. And then we kind of unravel. There's a lot more to the plot, finding out about this poison, finding out about just the inner workings of the court, etc. I thought that the first book was so well done, and not necessarily because the plot was very strong, but because of the descriptions of the magic, the tea, and the food. Oh my god. I was so hungry throughout. And yeah, just the way that she described each tea felt so magical. I think that that's a problem I have with some fantasies, is that when the author is describing the magic happening, like a spell being cast or something like that, sometimes it doesn't feel magical, and this absolutely did, which is wild because she literally is just brewing tea. Total props to Judy for that because I fell in love. So that's the plot without any spoilers, and obviously I can't go too deep into what I'm reading currently. So that is A Magic Steeped in Poison. Sorry, I keep forgetting to tell you the plot. I'm just too excited jumping into these books. So there you go. Hi everyone, I'm here on a noisy street. Why did I start filming now? I'm here with some thoughts, okay? I am, ooh, nice. I'm 40% of the way through the book and I understand why this is happening, but the characters are separated currently. Like the people that I enjoy being together the most are separated, which is a bummer. So it's a split POV, but they're like not even interacting whatsoever, which isn't my favorite thing. And then also totally my bad, but I forgot the plot. Is that anything new? And so a lot of it was kind of catching up and stuff like that. I really like her explanations of the magic, and I wish that there was more of it, but I think that right now is when it's gonna start again, I hope, because right now it's like there has been almost zero action for 140 pages, and I think that now something has happened that I think will trigger action. And so yeah, but the first one was just had all the elements of things that I really like. It's like a competition, there's a really cool magic system, etc. Right now the plot just has to go through some stuff that I don't love, and that's simply how the story has to go, and I understand, but I have high hopes, and I will see you guys later when it's quieter. Hi, so I finished, where is it? Oh, okay, here. I finished A Venom Dark and Sweet, and I will say it did pick up after page 130, is where I stopped talking to you guys last time. Kind of like I said in the beginning, I loved so many things about the first book because, like I said, it just had these elements of this magic that was tied to tea, and so much of the book was explaining how that magic worked, because you think the magic is just this one thing, and then the main character actually finds out she can go so much deeper with it. So you're kind of learning about the magic with her. It was really great. The explanations of the tea, I mean, ugh. And then, like I said, there's a competition, there are certain tasks you have to do, there's romance. And then this one, I know it's how the story had to go, but unfortunately it's just not the stuff that I'm super interested. Basically, there are kind of, at the end of the second book, there's basically a group of 5 characters that are kind of all on the same team, or maybe not, I don't know. But I like them all and I wanted to know so much about them, but they, for the sake of the story, have to split up. And so really we're only following our main girl Ning and the main boy Kung. It was kind of weird because it was split POVs, but Ning's POV were all first person and Kung's POV were all third person. So that was just like a little clunky. And also a lot of this book takes place in kind of the dream realm, because with the tea, with this magic, you can kind of go into this place called like the Shift. It has a lot to do with gods and stuff like that. So there is a lot of switching realities. And so if you don't like, I know some people are particular about not reading books that involve dreams. I don't know why. I've had like a couple people comment that like recently. So it's funny that I would read a book like this. But yeah, it's very much like popping in and out of kind of a dreamlike state. Like I said, the first book had a good amount of romance, I thought. This doesn't pretty much at all. I would say 0 romance in this book, which I know I say I don't like smut, but I like romance. There's a big difference. And so I really enjoyed the romance part of the plot in the first one, so I was kind of sad to not see it anywhere in here. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that the first book was so strong. I still highly recommend that you read the first book. I'm still hungry though after reading it. I don't even eat meat, and the way that she describes certain things, I'm like, oh man, like I'm salivating over like pork buns, and I'm like, okay, you don't eat those. But overall, like the writing is really beautiful. It just happened to be certain things that I'm just not interested in as a reader. So I still think that if you like fantasy with a lot of action, and they're basically just kind of running around trying to solve a mystery, and there's like a evil ruler that they have to take down. If you like that kind of thing, I would still definitely recommend. I think it's a really solid YA fantasy series. So yeah, first book, superb. Second one, just not my favorite stuff to read, you know? Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to start The Final Gambit, and I am going to read the last half of Hawthorne Legacy, because jumping into this book without remembering anything from the previous book was really difficult. So I'm going to not make that mistake with The Final Gambit. So that's my plan. So I will see you guys for the finale. I swear to God, it better be the finale of the Inheritance Games. Okay? Okay. Hi there. Just finished my reread of Hawthorne Legacy. I started on chapter 63 in case you want to do a reread, and I think I remembered enough. And then from 63 on, it like caught me up enough that I can confidently jump into this book, and I didn't have to read a whole lot. So now I'm reading The Final Gambit, and this isn't a spoiler, but we are not team Jameson, whatever the fuck his name is. We are not on his team in this house. Just putting that out there. I don't know how this goddamn trilogy is gonna end. Hi there, now we're on team no Hawthorns. Except for maybe Nash and Xander. Xander can stay. Hello, I'm driving myself insane because this book keeps referencing something that happened in a wine cellar. And the earliest reference I can trace back to it is the second chapter of the second book. Okay, we're reading the third book. So second chapter of the second book, but that mention is her reflecting back. So it must have happened in the first book, but I cannot find it. It's referencing like a party and a pool and all this stuff. And I'm using the like search feature. I can't find the scene that she's talking about. And there's like a vague memory of it in my mind. I Googled it. I mean, I'm so confused. Is this meant to be something that happened kind of like off the page and we're learning about it slowly? I don't know, but it seems like a very important scene for the amount of times it's being referenced, and for the life of me I cannot find out what happened. So am I alone here? I don't know. Do I have to read the whole series over again? Please tell me no. All right, I finished all of my books. So again, didn't tell you guys what Inheritance Games is about in case you didn't know. So the Inheritance Games is, I would say it's like a young adult Knives Out, like especially the beginning. Basically we follow this young girl. She's in high school. She's really struggling. I think her mom passed away. She never knew her father, so she's basically orphaned, and her stepsister, sister kind of adopts her, but oftentimes because she doesn't like her sister's boyfriend, she just sleeps in her car. I mean, she's really having a rough time of it, and all of a sudden one day at school she gets called into the principal's office and is told that she is required to be at the reading of a will in Texas. And she's like, I don't think I've ever been to Texas, and I don't know who this old man is, and I don't know why I need to be there. She goes because legally the family can't read the will until everybody is present. She gets in her first airplane and she goes to Texas, and she discovers this wacky ass family. This is like the richest man in the world, and his whole family lives in this big old house. He's got 4 grandsons, 2 daughters, and like their families, you know. So anyway, they get to the whole reading of the will part. Nobody knows who she is. Nobody understands. Everyone is in the dark, including this girl. And they read the will, and every penny of his like $46 billion fortune, I mean, he's obscenely rich, all of it goes to her. And everyone is sort of like the only thing is she has to live in the Hawthorne Manor for 1 entire year, and then she can get her money. She turns 18, do with it what you will. So obviously she's like gonna take it, because why would you throw away that opportunity? But she has to deal with this family who like potentially wants her killed, but also it seems like there's some kind of mystery, and the grandfather has kind of raised his grandsons to think that everything is a game, and so they just see this as another game, and they're like, you are a clue, we're gonna figure you out. The manor is filled with like secret passageways, all this stuff. It was a good time. It was something that, if especially if I had been younger, if I had read this in like middle and high school, I would have loved it. So first book I thought was really great, ate it up, was very upset that I had to wait a year to get the second one. The second book, I'm still so angry about it because I thought it was supposed to be a duology, and I get to the end of the second book and I was just like, this didn't end. So my issue with the series is that the second one is weak, only because she stretched it into a trilogy, and I understand why she did, because I did think that the third one was strong and it ended well, but the middle was just so not fun. But Final Gambit, I thought, went back to the things that I liked about Inheritance Games, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but it definitely has one specific mystery that they're trying to find, and it makes sense even though it's very convoluted, and I definitely need multiple family trees mapped out for me so that I fully understand the book. It was just like finding clues, all of the characters were together again. Yeah, overall I thought it was really good. I did think though it was a little confusing because it didn't feel like it, but there definitely was actually a time jump in between Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit, and so there were certain things that were kind of clunky to understand. I do think that there was a teensy bit of character assassination, and I do think that I wish that we had seen a little bit more of the relationship. I like how she ended. Did I like how she ended the relationship thread of the plot? I think I did, but I also wish that she had kind of dove into that a little bit more, because it felt like that took a real back seat, where I feel like it should have gotten a little bit more time for us to be okay with that ending. Overall, I think it's definitely appealing to a more young adult audience, obviously, but I like some of the jokes and the language. It's a little bit, gets a little bit annoying. Like certain characters, their jokes get a little annoying, but I feel like I would have loved them if I was just a little bit younger, you know? So overall, I thought that it was such a strong start. I thought it was a very solid ending. I thought the middle could have done without. But yeah, overall, I would say I'm very satisfied with this ending. So thank you, Jennifer Lynn Barnes. You're still a villain in my book for not telling me that that was a trilogy instead of a duology, but baby steps. But also, so this is coming out when? I don't know, middle of September. By then, I have actually a video that I'll link down below, which is series that are being continued this year. And so coming out in the rest of the year, the sequel to Defy the Night, the sequel to Lake's Edge, the third book, I guess, in Kingdom of the Wicked, the second book of Atlas 6, the second book of Gilded, and my number one most anticipated read, the second of Legendborn. When I tell you, when I see these people get box sets for arcs, I mean, I've seen people with, it's like this giant thing that they get. I am so jealous. Like normally I'm sort of like, I can wait for a book, it's fine, but something about seeing people holding Bloodmarked in their hands makes me so upset. So if you have read it, just know that I would kill to beat you. And I hope that you enjoyed it. So yeah, I overall was quite happy with my reads, and now Once Upon a The Ballad of Never After is out. So please, if you have read it, put like big spoilers for Ballad of Never After ... in the comments and tell me how yours ended, because guys, are we getting a third book? Because I'm not. Just talk to me in the comments, okay? So anyway, thank you so much for being here on this journey, and I will see you guys next time. Okay? Okay. Thank you always. Bye!